Hello and welcome to the Doing Time Show. This is 3CR Community Radio, 855 AM on the dial, streaming live on www.3cr.org.au. And first up on the show, very soon, very shortly, we're going to be speaking with Lex Wotton. And we've interviewed Lex Wotton quite a few times on this show. And he's going to be speaking to us about a damages case that has happened with him. It's a class action. And as he says so many times, though, 30 pieces of silver is not going to actually take away the trauma and the hurt. So basically, sorry, we just had a few technical difficulties then. But yeah, in case listeners didn't hear that, we're going to be having Lex Wotton on the show. He's an Indigenous activist, and we'll be speaking to him. Then after that, we're going to be speaking with Decolonising Allies, and his name is Brendan. He's going to be talking to us about a Maori teenager who is going to be deported to New Zealand after his sentence is over. He's in prison at the moment in solitary confinement. So we're going to talk to him about that. Then after that, we're going to talk with Latoya, and we're going to speak to her about her brother who died in custody. Latoya is a very beautiful and very proud Aboriginal female activist and has done a lot of work in terms of deaths in custody. And yeah, so that's the whole show. And now, to talk about the shocking inequalities, the traumatic history and the dysfunctional bureaucratic system which suffocates Palm Island and other Aboriginal communities today. Hello, Lex. Welcome to the program.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Lex.
That was a bit of a marathon introduction, but anyway. Lovely to have you, Lex. So we were just wondering if you wanted just to talk to us a little bit about what your feelings are about what's been going on with the class action.
What do you mean?
Just, how you feel about it.
Oh, well, like a lot of interviews, people ask me how I feel about it. I still feel the same as I was all my life, I suppose. It's just something that I was a part of, that's more than anything.
Exactly.
And that, really didn't change me all that much, other than just I suppose, in the public's eyes, the profile just lifted, you know what I mean, and in the areas of activism, I suppose. Yeah, just another part of, this time it's a victory in your struggle when it comes to fighting different causes. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we nearly didn't ask you, Lex, because we thought to ourselves, you know what, you've probably had so many interviews, you're sick of it. But to be quite honest with you, we want to thank you for coming on, because we do need to keep this alive, don't we?
Yeah, look, that's up to thing at the moment, as you probably are aware. There were negative things that were conveyed into the wider public due to the certain other media outlets. They're portraying everything in a negative way and stuff like that, but that was counteracted, I suppose, through social media. But it's what people make of it at the end of the day, and it sort of upset a few people, especially in the police area here in the state. I'm not sure what it's like nationally, but the verdict's been handed down, and people just have to accept it more than anything. Yeah.
Absolutely, and in fact, Lex, the police are upset, but boo-hoo, because boo-hoo. I mean, basically, look at what's happened, and just to refresh the memories of listeners, the federal court ruled that the Queensland police actions breached the Racial Discrimination Acts, didn't it?
Yes. So, like you said, it's been a long struggle, and then to get the result that we had, and not only that, what listeners should be aware of, or made aware of, that the state had 3 opportunities to settle, and when they refused to settle at first, and there was an amount that was proposed, but at that time the government was an obliged government, state Labor, and they just took caretaker mode just after we had mediation on a settlement, and they were probably hoping to get back in and settle at that point, but then the Newman government got in and sat on it for 2 years and rejected the proposal, so we continued down the track, and then there was still room to negotiate a settlement, and then we had proposals put up to them, and that's when Palaszczuk government got in, and then they didn't want to settle, so we continued down the track, and we went to court, and then we still had room to negotiate, and they come back with an offer which was very low, $500,000, and then so we rejected, and then we just proceeded to the courts, and then before the judgment there was still room to negotiate a settlement, but the state didn't. Then the verdict was given, and so it was in our favour, and then they had the opportunity to appeal, and then public pressure and everything else along with that. So and according to their legal advice, they were it'd be better to settle the matter and put it to rest, and the wider public knew of it. There were reports, and then so it was to proceed back into the courts for individual cases and stuff for but there was also room to negotiate this settlement now, that thing. And at the time, because we, the lawyers organised, we had a registrar here, and then it was open to 2,000 people, but only 447 registered, and then before the shut-off date, and then our lawyers, through some accountants, come up with the figure of $40 million, and the state had to, so there was a mediation thing, and then room to move on. So and we knew we wouldn't get the $40 million, but and we weren't going to go lower than 30. So and they probably had a higher figure. They probably had a figure that they could. They probably wanted to take us down more than 30, but we were to have 3 days of mediation. We settled it on the first day.
When was it settled?
Day. Sometime late November or early December.
And then the police appealed, did they, after that?
No, no one could appeal it. It's just
good.
Simple as that. There's no way anything can be overturned. What happens now, it has to go to court approval, because there were terms of references set up between my party and state, and so that'll go to court now. But we have to wait for court approval next month on those terms of references, and then we've got 41 days for objections by actual registrar members. So if they, some of the community members feel that they deserve more, then they just have to lodge an appeal, and then everything sort of stands still until their matter settled in court. But then it's at their legal cost and everything else. So it's a catch-22 for people like that. But that was made known publicly here Thursday and in Townsville on Wednesday. We had 2 lots of meetings to inform people of the rollout of the settlement. And so hopefully within the next 12 months it should be all, paid out. So, yeah.
Well, Lex, like I said at the beginning, and like I spoke to you today, you were mentioning 30 pieces of silver doesn't wash away the hurt, does it?
Yeah, well, that's true. And like I said, that even before negotiations, and if the lawyers, because it got so far that, because the application was made on behalf of the community, and because I never had a chance to talk to the community in this sense, that I would prefer over $30 million that Airlie be locked away for the rest of his life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then all those police officers charged who were in collusion with all of this stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. And, Chris Hurley was acquitted, Senior Sergeant Chris Hurley, and he was acquitted of manslaughter in 2007. I mean, this has been going, for 12 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, applications for this particular thing with the suit, that was lodged in 2007, so what's that? That's pretty much thing. But when you look at the whole saga of the palm thing, it's almost 14 years soon.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's exactly right, because you've got not only what happened with the Aboriginal death in custody of Cameron DiMaggio, but we've also got other atrocities and other things that have happened on Palm Island since 1788.
Well, that's true.
Isn't it?
And, Palm's actually celebrating its 100-year centenary this particular year and stuff like that. But when you look at, going back to my particular thing, my matter, I sort of was, since then I've been in the public eye, I suppose, with the, you can't sort of separate the two, the death in custody, the so-called riot, and then the suit. So, and in between that, you had other things like where I had to go, that I went to the federal court to get me the conditions lifted where the, I couldn't speak in public or speak to media, my freedom of speech was taken away. And I think that's what the wider public should know. There is a history, there's a lot of things that happened within that time, Yeah.
Well, that's right. So you're talking about when you went to prison after being charged for inciting a so-called riot and then being gagged afterwards and not being allowed to say anything.
Yeah, parole. My parole, that was part of my parole condition and stuff. But like I said, there was a series of court cases in between 2004 to 2008, and then after 2008, the federal court to get the gag removed and stuff like that. Yeah. And then all these hearings up until, the federal court for this particular thing. So, I've been sort of in and out of the courts. Yeah.
In and out of the courts, and all because Mr. DiMaggio died because he sang the song "Who Let the Dogs Out."
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Well, that's part of it and something. But it's because Airlie felt that he had the right to lock him up because the police liaison at the time, Bingru, told Airlie that don't worry about Cameron's supposed to have harassed him about thing. He's used to that, being chastised, I suppose, about locking his own people up. Yeah.
That's exactly right. And indeed, you're quite right, Lex. I mean, that is a big part of it, but we've also got to let listeners know as well, correct me if I'm wrong, that there was also the the raiding of your home and the persecution of your family as well.
Yeah, well, my home and 18 houses all up, and then the whole community. Just to actually just seeing it, you don't have to be but just to visualise and see police officers running around, with high-powered rifles and all this and that. So, it would have been scary for a lot of people and stuff like that. And then not only that, they weren't allowed to travel to and from Palm. And, because it was declared a state of emergency, which was also deemed illegal. That was also part of my trial, and then the trial of this suit. Then they, confiscated groceries from the local store and stuff like that, So, sort of left the community without for a couple of days. So, yes, and the terror, that was played out, I suppose, that, people were terrorised. And at that particular time, there was no actual media over here. There were a few others that snuck in, Tony Posh through the Australian, and did a really good report, and then actually gave evidence on my behalf during the this particular suit. It was one, very supportive, and his report was really good. Yeah.
Absolutely. Lex, I wanted to ask you a question, and you may not know the answer, but it's in regards to Indigenous health campaigner Professor Gracelyn Smallwood, who's a lovely woman, isn't she? We've interviewed her quite a few times on air here.
Look, she was very good support for myself and the community since that time. I think after being released, within days of being released on after the riots, some 2 weeks in prison waiting to get bail and stuff, I got in contact with him, and had a talk and told her that she needed to do some, more or less be my mouthpiece at times, because I was on orders too at that particular time. So, and I was working, and I wasn't allowed back on the island and stuff like that. So so there's a history of, I suppose, trying to suppress me in so many different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Lex, it's so wonderful to have you on the show, and we want to wish you the very best for you and your family, and indeed for the whole community of Palm Island. And I certainly want to make it clear that to listeners, and I'm sure listeners know this already, this is not greed. It's not greed. It's about the fact that justice has to be served. That's what this is about.
Yeah, well, that's true. And look, like I said, there was an opportunity for the state to settle, and I didn't look at, there wasn't, part of some of the settlement wasn't actual monies, but funds to be put into programs to help the community move forward in a positive way, and but the state didn't agree to that. So that's why we had to continue down that track to get a good outcome, and it has happened. And what listeners should understand too, that if say 1,500 of the 2,000 that were eligible, the amounts would have been even greater. And I made that known to the state already knew that, but at this final mediation to settle this particular thing, it was pretty upsetting to sit there and then going through things, and they didn't want to make amends. Well, it was their job to come down as low as they can. And I said, you have to realise that, like I said, even if we got 2,000 people that claim, it would have been, 3-4 times what we settled at. So, yeah. So, and a lot of people are whinging about taxpayers' dollars, but my simple answer to that is, when you pay GST, you're paying tax. So we're all taxpayers, and, it could be revenue that the state has thing, and that's where they're probably paying this 30 million from. There are a lot of people from some social media stuff that I've seen, pretty upset, but they forget the fact that there was a death in custody, and
Correct.
That's it, yeah. There was collusion, there was a cover-up, and that, the police have lied and lied and lied,
That's exactly right. And indeed,
and
the state...
when it comes to this suit, the judge
yes.
saw their lies for what it was, and then ruled on the documents that we put up, and then, the law. It wasn't a thing that we just sing and she just listens. It was points of law that we, had to go on to get the outcome.
And I believe that the state government has also agreed to offer an apology.
Yes. That was part of the what we wanted, and the judge talked about that, but she didn't. She said she wasn't going to actually recommend it because it's not something that thing. But if she had to, she would consider it and
consider it.
But, and then that would have been part of this last lot of case court if if the state didn't settle for this 30 million. But the state agreed, and so that'll be all in writing. It'll be in the Queensland Courier Mail, and I think the Townsville Bulletin and a few other things. I'm not sure what thing, and probably, soon as people get it, they'll put it on social media and all that, which is good. Yeah.
That's fantastic, Lex. And just one final question, just so that we can set everything in context. So, just so listeners know, so the Queensland government's appeal, that happened before, didn't it? That happened before all this judgment.
No. After we got the judgment, then they had 21 days to appeal it.
Yes.
And then on the 21 last day of before 5, they lodged an appeal.
Okay.
And then
and then they lost it.
What had to once they lodged the appeal, it was in the process of we would have had to have gone back, and we would have had to they would have had to try and find differences in the judgment, I suppose, and but there was due to people like Sister Grace organising a petition. I think we needed 25,000 signatures. I think we got about 20 to 30,000 signatures, and
good.
And then there were our local federal member was in support. There were some actual state members, Labor and thing.
Are you there, Lex? Hello? Oh, I think we've got some problems here. You there, Lex?
We'll just go to a cart or...
Oh, there is? No, I think we might have got cut off. We'll have to go to a cart.
I mean, an announcement.
We know you love our 3CR Radical Radio t-shirts, and so do we. They're a bargain at $20 for adults and $15 for kids, and come in black, white, grey and a cool light blue. To nab one of these beauties, drop into the station at 21 Smith Street or order by phoning 9419 8377. Or you can visit us online at 3cr.org.au/shop. Come on, you know you want one.
And you're back with the Doin' Time show. And we were just speaking with Lex Wotton, and we had some technical difficulties. We're running over time already. Pretty soon we're going to be speaking with Brendan from Decolonising Allies. But before we do that, I just wanted to just say that we were speaking with Lex Wotton about a settlement that has, a landmark settlement actually, that has happened in the court. And just to quickly say that on the day of Mr. Damage's autopsy results were read out, about a week after his death, Mr. Wotton led angry residents on a so-called riot through the town. I see it more as a protest. Mr. Wotton was later convicted of inciting a riot and served 19 months in jail before being released on parole in 2014. And I just wanted to draw attention to listeners to just to let them know that that's how it all started. That's how it all originated. Okay, we're going to be speaking now with Brendan. Brendan, welcome to the program.
Cool. Hello everyone.
And did I get the name of the group right?
Allies Decolonising, but it's...
Allies Decolonising.
Well, I think the meaning was conveyed. That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, so just to correct that, it's Allies Decolonising. And Brendan, I believe that you wanted to talk about an event and what's going on with a young Maori boy who's in solitary confinement. Can you tell us his name and talk about what happened?
Yeah, sure. So a couple of days ago marked around 1 year since an 18-year-old Maori boy, Jason Rawiti, has been kept in solitary confinement in the Banksia Hill Detention Centre in WA. And so solitary, what that means is 22 hours a day without meaningful human contact. I can't even imagine to experience what that's like, let alone do I imagine anyone else be able to do so. But yeah, his mother recently stated just how difficult it has been and just the lack of hope that he himself has been experiencing, understandably so after all this torture and abuse, you would say. So myself and a few others, this Thursday at RMIT, we're just going to be hosting a letter writing and solidarity photo shoot event inspired by Shut Youth Prison Mapatnui's event in Alice Springs. We'll be writing letters to Jason, so providing an opportunity for people to express whatever they would like to him, not only in spite of everything he's been through and will be going through, but he's a young person like anyone else who deserves love, opportunity, understanding, and I think it's a great space where people can just let him know that, hey, people are thinking about you and it's disgusting and awful what you've been through, but you deserve a lot of good things.
And where is this event taking place?
Give me a sec, I'll get up the exact details. So RMIT Building 80, Level 5, Room 11. So the building's located on 445 Swanston Street in Melbourne CBD. We'll have signage up to direct people and also chuck up a phone number if anyone gets lost and wants any guidance.
So in Australia, 84% of offenders under 18 years of age are sent to detention centres, huh?
Mm.
From what I've seen, from what I've been researching about. And Brendan, just another question, final question. With this young man, why is he being deported? They want to deport him back to New Zealand at the end of his sentence.
Mm-hmm.
What for?
I think I'll just start on to that. He also doesn't have any supporting networks in New Zealand either. I think the short, maybe honest answer, I think it probably relates to just racist underpinnings of our legislation, our nation. Maybe it's a tough on crime approach, which is wanting to be conveyed, but obviously that's illogical. That there's no data which suggests that, let alone anyone else's experience. Crime doesn't come out of choice, as we all know, but more underlying socioeconomic factors, structural influences at play. So I think it's just some gross, action to seem like stuff is being done on quote-unquote crime, but really it's just serving those in power.
Absolutely. And on May 18th, I believe that Jason's family and supporters based in Perth will be marching for Jason so that his voice is heard in the hope of his release.
Yeah, that's correct. So another thing that we're hoping to do with this event here in Melbourne is just to not only show our support and solidarity to Jason, but all those marching for him and all other incarcerated youth on the day after.
Brendan, it's so lovely to have you, and really, listeners, try and rock up to this event. Can you just plug the event again, Brendan?
I would love to.
Thank you.
So you can find on Facebook just by searching Letter Writing and Solidarity Photo Shoot for Jason Rawiti. It's this Thursday, 17th of May, starting from 6 p.m, going till 7. It's in RMIT Building 80, Level 5, Room 11. And that building is located on 445 Swanston Street in Melbourne CBD. And in the event, on the day, we'll chuck up contact details if anyone would like just assistance getting there if they get lost in the maze that is RMIT.
Brendan, thank you so much for coming onto the program. And just to correct that again, that was Brendan from Allies Decolonising. We're due to be actually interviewing Latoya Rule about the Aboriginal death in custody of Wayne Morrison. So we're going to be doing that shortly. And just before we do that, we wanted to actually extend a sincere apology to Lex Wotton, who was we got cut off. He was on Palm Island, so there would have been technical difficulties perhaps with mobile phones. It's quite a remote area, so apologies to listeners that we didn't finish that interview, although it was nearly finished anyway. We were just concluding it. It's approximately 4:33 or 4:34, I should say, and perhaps we should now get on to Latoya, who is patiently waiting.
Okay.
We know you love our 3CR Radical Radio t-shirts, and so do we. They're a bargain at $20 for adults and $15 for kids, and come in black, white, grey and a cool light blue. To nab one of these beauties, drop into the station at 21 Smith Street or order by phoning 9419-8377. Or you can visit us online at 3cr.org.au/shop. Come on, you know you want one.
Australia is a crime scene. It's unfinished business is crime. People don't understand that it was a military exercise. It was military in the First Fleet. It was Captain James Cook. It was Captain Arthur Phillip. Right through the history of Australia, it's a military exercise. Our people have suffered greatly because the white man is not prepared to act honourably and legally. It's still the case in this country today.
This is 3CR.
You're back with the Doing Time show, and we're interviewing now Latoya, who is the sister of Wayne Morrison, who died in prison while waiting to appear in court. and the families say that they feel abandoned by the system, and I believe this happened last September. And indeed, we did interview this wonderful Indigenous campaigner, I believe last year sometime. So we did quite a lot of work with her, and so we're going to be speaking with her shortly about what's going on with Wayne, whether there's been any updates. And I think the thing that I find horribly horrific about this whole thing is that the recommendations of the Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody have not been upheld. Wayne was lying in intensive care on life support. He was actually allegedly involved in some type of incident with some guards, and it's quite terrible the way that he was treated. Hello, Latoya. Welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for having me again. I hope you are well since last time we've seen each other.
Thank you. It's lovely. It seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. So, Latoya, I'm sure you've, a lot of the time what we need to do, isn't it, when we're doing things like this is repeat. We need to keep on educating and keep on keeping things alive, don't we?
Yeah, I agree, for sure.
So I'm wondering if you could just talk to us just about what's been going on. What date did this happen in September, and what year?
So this was over a year and a half ago now, so it wasn't last September, it was the year before.
Sorry, the year before,
I know time
that's
goes
right.
really quickly, though.
Yeah, 2016, I believe.
Yeah, the 26th of September, 2016.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
My family and I, as I've said in the past, we're going to see Wayne after 6 days on remand at his home detention bail application at the Magistrate Court in Adelaide here, on Kaurna land. And, somebody ran into the court with a note just saying for the magistrate that Wayne couldn't appear. We were told to go away and do our own, make our own phone calls and do our own research about where he was. We were just completely lied to during the entire process. It wasn't until that night, quite late at night, that we even got to know where Wayne was through an anonymous tip that somebody had passed on through Aboriginal legal rights movement that made its way to us, and found out he was in intensive care after an alleged altercation with over 5 prison guards. I guess to update you on what we know now after such a long time, we know that the coronial proceedings will be taking place this August. We don't have a particular date yet, but the coroner's court will start, which is where we'll, be given the coroner's report and, be able to, have some closure, maybe around some information that's missing in our own knowledge of what happened. But over the last year and a half, we actually were successful in getting up a parliamentary investigation or inquiry into prisons. So Wayne's case was part of that process, and my mother and I, my sister, along with our lawyer, George Newhouse, as part of the National Justice Project in Sydney, the similar representation for Miss Drew's case as well, same person. We all went and gave evidence there in Parliament. The outcomes of that have been posted on the South Australian parliamentary, website. If you go there, you can see all the inquiries that are taking place on their website. All of our submissions are posted there along with the final report and recommendations. They didn't necessarily pick up our recommendations from our family, though they did, pick up the fact that our good friend Jerry Georgiadis from WA made recommendations about the crucial aspect of the custody notification system that's been implemented in New South Wales, and a few other places. Jerry's pushed that now, and the Parliament of South Australia thankfully put that in their recommendations as something really important to pick up for South Australia. So I guess that was really a positive aspect that came. So, some good things moving forward, and also just waiting for some more information as well.
So it's a parliamentary inquiry that's already in progress?
Has already been finalised.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that happened last year. Yep.
Fantastic.
And so Wayne's case was one of 5 particular cases that were targeted to focus on in that parliamentary investigation inquiry. And that was just into the administration of South Australian prisons. So some of the other cases, out of all 5 cases, there were 3 that involved Aboriginal people. One, to be honest, our state in South Australia is actually the highest incarcerator of Aboriginal peoples over the last 10 years.
Adelaide?
Nationwide, yeah. Over the last 10 years. It's also currently the 3rd highest incarcerator of Aboriginal people behind WA and NT. And I think we may have the 2nd or the 3rd lowest population of Aboriginal people. So given those rates, it's actually quite high for who we are. We've also just been changed over a Liberal government, which is quite detrimental to proceedings around prisons. They've rolled out definitely more policing in our communities around terrorism laws. It's pretty alarming for people who are on the front line of resistance as well to be in public spaces. Adelaide, I'm kind of calling on people to really start focusing on Adelaide and South Australia at the moment, just because of all the changes that are happening and, the lack of justice. And actually, since Wayne's passing, 3 other Aboriginal people have passed in custody in South Australia.
Have the names been released yet?
They haven't, no.
Not yet.
The last one, I don't know. The last one after Wayne, for instance, was an Aboriginal man who, in Parafield Gardens, and disrespectful, obviously, of his family, I won't say his name, but it hasn't been released anyway.
No.
But he unfortunately was arrested on his front lawn. His family were home at the time, his children, and he had a heart condition. He started to, have some problems during the arrest on the front lawn of his home, and he was asking for police to give him his medication, which if you have issues with your heart, you'll know that there's a certain medication that you just pop under your tongue. It actually calms down your body, and, it really helps. Now, the police refused that simple medication, and he actually passed away on his front lawn in front of his children.
Despicable.
Disgusting, really, really upsetting, just the fact that they wouldn't even allow him his medication. So, there's some things like that happening at the moment. The other 2 deaths in custody are still yet to be determined. And, if our coroner is only getting to our case a year and a half, almost 2 years later it will be by the time it starts, then I reckon these families are also going to have to wait such a long time.
So really what the Doing Time show needs to do then is to watch this space, and we need to start focusing on South Australia. We have done some work with that South Australia, but New South Wales and has been one of the points, the interviews that we've done. But now that we've got you as a contact, Latoya, would it be possible for you to come on for regular updates at some stage?
Yeah, I would love to.
And so that we can concentrate more on Aboriginal deaths in custody, and indeed all deaths in custody in Adelaide.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah.
But getting, and it's important to talk about that generally as well, because obviously your activism has been sparked by your brother's passing, hasn't it?
Yeah, I kind of started getting more active about 4 or 5 years ago now, but
Good.
Definitely around the death in custody stuff since my brother's passing.
Yeah, fantastic. So just so that we can alert listeners, Latoya, and just give a little bit of background so they can get some order here. So Wayne Morrison, who was 29 years old when he died, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And he was on remand, and they say he had a heart attack and suffered severe head trauma during the alleged fight. And I'm hoping that...
We have we have some updated information
Oh,
as
good.
well, around that, which I'd like to share.
Tell us about that, yeah.
So I guess without saying too much, because the coroner's proceedings will,
of course,
detail a bit more, there were actually 2 events that ensued. So the first event was the restraining of Wayne in the cell, and that was with multiple prison guards. Now, we know that what we've been told is that the CCTV footage of that doesn't show anything inside the cell, and in fact, when Wayne was, taken, he was actually taken by his hands and his feet, from what we've been told of the footage. We haven't seen it yet. We'll have to wait for that. Picked up by his hands and his feet, restrained, and carried from that cell after that event to a back of the back of the correctional van, and he was actually put on his stomach, and he had a spit hood on as well. Now, from what we know, again, without saying too much, about 4 or 5 corrections officers jumped in the back of that van. Less than 3 minutes later, the van pulled out, so they were taking Wayne. I don't actually know where they were taking him. That's really crucial to the outcome of what we know about Wayne's death. But, they reversed the van, and then they stopped the van. They pulled Wayne out, and Wayne wasn't breathing for over 50 minutes. So in the course of that, there's no CCTV footage inside of the van. And apparently he was, moving when they were carrying him by his hands and his feet into the van. So, it's pretty alarming. It's been pretty hard for our family to get over these things.
Absolutely. So just to clarify, Latoya, so he was arrested. Yeah. You're saying that was on the day of his arrest?
No, this was on the day that he was supposed to be transported.
Oh, yes.
Or through video link, so 6 days after his arrest on remand.
That's correct. That's right, because he was actually trying to get something with the video link to get that application going for home detention, wasn't he?
Yeah, because we expected to, see, we stood in court as support that day for his home detention application. He was supposed to be going to my mum's house for that, and so we were all there. And the usual process is that you appear by video link, and if it's a go ahead, then they let you out, and we would have then either driven to pick him up or met him somewhere else that day to take him back to my mum's house.
Right.
So,
okay. Well, you know what? That's really important that we've discussed that. So basically, you're talking about the fact that when he was being transferred, isn't it, to the Royal Adelaide Hospital? That's where he was in quite a critical condition, wasn't he? And you have just updated us with new information about that.
Yeah. So he was apparently taken out of the van. Resuscitation happened, but apparently not immediately. Again, we're waiting to see the footage of that. And then, for 50 minutes before, so the ambulance actually came and resuscitated Wayne and took him from the prison. And by that stage, it's not a medical term, but he was brain dead. He lasted on life support. He never woke up or responded to treatment. And he passed away 2 days later.
But to put him in a spit hood while he was ill, what sort of? I can't even comment.
I don't know if he was ill or not, because they took him. Yeah.
He may not have been ill. Anyway, I suppose we shouldn't speculate. We're going to wait for the coroner's findings, aren't we? However,
exactly.
He looked like he was being beaten up, obviously, bruised and battered. That's not even a health problem, really. And we have to be honest about that, Latoya, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I don't actually believe that he had any health issues prior to him. The supposed cardiac arrest didn't, happen, or it occurred as a result of, being put on his stomach and essentially suffocating within 2 minutes. But whatever happened in the back of that transportation van, I guess we may never know, depending on what happens at the coroner's proceedings. So, yeah, again, watch this space. I'm really interested to continue to update you.
Absolutely.
And obviously build a campaign around the violence. It's so resonating with other Indigenous death and custody cases, my brother's case. So, yeah.
Same thing happened with Miss Dew.
Exactly, yeah. I'm actually studying the case of Miss Dew at the moment for my thesis. And so I'm going through the way that the media and the coronial investigations and the coroner have been able to construct Aboriginal death and custody victims at the time of their death as well, particularly Miss Dew, Dew, and how, even at the time of our death, and in the case of my brothers, the Premier, Chair Widdell here in South Australia, was one of the first to comment after the Corrections Minister and Head of Corrections about Wayne being apparently a violent person, just demonising his character after, not even realising that Wayne in fact wasn't charged for any crime. So he wasn't convicted of any crime. And the similar happened with Miss Dew. The constructions of us as Aboriginal people at the time of our death and of Aboriginality and of our identities are actually not in our hands. And a lot of the time it's part of a wider system that supports the colonial state to subjugate our voices and, our lives. And so, yeah, it's really interesting to continue to not look at these cases, particularly not my brothers, as an individual once-off event, but to continue to link it to these systemic, issues of violence and brutality by corrections and police and by the state.
Absolutely. Latoya, thank you so much for coming onto the program today. Have you got any final comments to make? I'd
love to keep chatting, I guess, and if people, people need to see this as it is affecting us, there's not one type of good citizen, it's the construction that's important to look at rather than, just thinking that it's going to go away overnight. So, yeah, Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate coming to talk to you guys.
Thank you, Latoya. And you might want to listen to this show if people have missed the show. We're going to be podcasting it shortly.
Awesome.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
See you later.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And we were just speaking to Latoya, a 24-year-old academic who has become a prominent black activist, and the bloodlines of two strong Indigenous cultures run through her blood. On her mum's side, she is Wiradjuri, that's spelled Wiradjuri, and her father is Maori. So it's approximately 4:55. Sincere apologies that we haven't been able to do much music. It's been quite intense, hasn't it, Peter?
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, we've got about 5 minutes left.
So let's just go to an announcement.
You got to remember, NAIDOC's a special day for us, brothers. That's a reminder who we are.
Every year for NAIDOC Week, 3CR Community Radio gives voice to our Indigenous brothers and sisters through Beyond the Bars, Australia's only live prison broadcast. I am a black man.
NAIDOC means a lot to me. It's about identity and also about past and present.
NAIDOC means a lot to me, for my family and my people.
And the people forgetting about our rights. You can access audio from current and past Beyond the Bars broadcasts via the 3CR website. Go to 3cr.org.au/Beyond the Bars and either listen to or download audio from Australia's only live prison broadcasts. Happy NAIDOC!
3CR programs provide information and analysis you won't hear in the mainstream.
Today we'll be looking at the legacy of the US war on Vietnam, on Laos.
And as far as corporate capitalism is concerned, it is the worst political and economic system that you can have.
Our laws about jailing refugees and asylum seekers are so well crafted.
Sex is not irrelevant and we like who we are, but we don't have to be imprisoned by our gender.
Become a subscriber today call us on 9419 8377 or visit 3cr.org.au. 3CR, the voice of dissent.
And you're back with the Doing Time show. I hope you enjoyed this special broadcast about Aboriginal deaths in custody. And the Doing Time show would like to thank Lex Wotton, first of all, for coming onto the show from Palm Island. We wanted to also thank Brendan from Allied Decolonising for coming in, and he's from Victoria, thanking also Latoya Rule, who is the brother of Wayne Morrison, and she's going to be our contact now for the Doing Time show to discuss Aboriginal deaths in custody, particularly in Adelaide.
South Australia.
In South Australia, Adelaide, same thing. So it's approximately 4:57. We've got about 3 minutes left. So thanking all our guests. And I just wanted to leave you with a final comment that the problems facing First Australians don't end when Invasion Day protesters go home.
Mm.
Yeah, so we're going to be going out now with our theme song, Black Fellow, White Fellow. We'll see you every Monday from 4 to 5 p.m. Tune in next week at the same time for the Doing Time show.